Hey, what's up, bookworms and book 4 completionists? Mike back for the final spoiler talk for Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson, guys. It's been about 2 days since I finished it. The other ones, I seem to record them like immediately after finishing because I wanted to move on to the next section. But with this one, I was like, I want to take a couple of days, see how I feel. So we're going to kind of talk about that now because I'm still not sure what I'm going to say, but we're going to find out. If you don't know, this is all spoilers. If you missed my earlier spoiler talks, I'll put them up here. I've done one for each part of this book. This is obviously part 5. That's chapters 98 through 117, and of course the epilogue. So we're going through the end here, and I'm going to give a little bit of my final thoughts kind of on the book as a whole as we go along. So look, not the usual Sanderlanche I think that we've all come accustomed to. Some really good stuff in there. I would definitely say it was the most happening part of this book for sure. But the people who are usually just like, expecting 300 pages of just like straight balls to the wall action, I wouldn't say that you kind of got it in this one. You did get some really, really big moments, even if some, we all predicted knew were coming. It didn't make them any less awesome. So I really enjoyed this section. So if you guys have been waiting through all these for me to just kind of, I wouldn't say gush, but really have mostly positive things to say, I think you'll be happy I did. Did it save the book for me, though? I mean, I don't really think that the book itself was in peril of anything like that. I just said it wasn't kind of what I was wanting in this series. But again, I think that Dalinar, Navani, and Kaladin kind of dominate this section, which that's good. that's the characters I really wanted to talk about, because one of the problems I kind of had a lot with this, and my buddy Alex over on Fantasy Book Talk, he told me that in a message, he said that anything that wasn't like our main characters from the earlier books, he just kind of wasn't caring. And I kind of agreed with that. And I don't know if he's changed his stance on that since that conversation, so don't quote him on that. But here's my thing is, you guys know at this point how I felt about the Vinley chapters and the flashback chapters. I wasn't really wild about it. But this section, really, it's those big characters. Shallan has like one chapter that I'll talk about. But it's mostly them, and everybody else just kind of all together here. So there isn't as many isolated chapters as there was previously. So let's get into it like we do, and let's talk about Dalinar. I do think that his relationship with Yasna continues to evolve. I've talked about how they haven't agreed on how to how to rule, and I think that that's something that still will continue to kind of butt heads on. But I do like that with the part where he gives her his copy of Oathbringer, basically like the final draft, and says, hey, I would like you to provide your commentary, your footnotes to it. And I think that was a really, really good moment, because to me, it just continues to show that Dalinar doesn't consider himself like a tyrant or a ruler or the final word on anything. He is open to discussion now, and that just shows that he's just come leaps and bounds. I think the biggest part for him in this is where he decides to confront Ishar. That's kind of the big thing for me. Ishar was the one who could teach him more about his bondsmith powers if he wasn't crazy. Well, it turns out he is quite mad. I mean, this dude is straight Fruit Loops. He not only is he crazy, but he actually believes he is the Almighty. And he says he's waiting for Odium's champion, and they're going to throw down to decide the fate of the world. So it was an interesting little moment there. But he starts whooping some ass. He's pretty much got Dalinar defeated. And Szeth notices when he summons his Shardblade, he says, hey, that's my father's sword, and I don't want to know where you got it. And Ishar basically tells him, look, the Shin were my followers. Your father was just kind of holding this sword for me until he died. No big deal. And, obviously this sets Szeth off, and he attacks him with Nightblood and actually chips the fucking Shardblade. So that was actually kind of surprising to me there, to see that you could actually do damage. So Nightblood continues to be the most badass sword in the land here. So I cannot wait to talk about what happens a little bit later with Nightblood. But again, fans of Warbreaker have got to just be loving any parts with Nightblood in this book. Definitely any parts with Szeth. Look, I was kind of lukewarm with Szeth's redemption arc in Oathbringer, but now it's like every time Szeth shows up, I'm like, oh, this is one of the good ones. So much so that's why I'm looking forward to book 5 here. So Dalinar and Odium, that's the real big meeting here. They meet up and they basically throw down their terms for their Battle of the Champions kind of thing here. And what they eventually come to is that if Dalinar wins, Odium is going to be confined to Roshar. Something that Wit was very, very urgent about. And if Odium wins, look, he gets to keep everything he's conquered, including Althkar. But he also kind of gets Dalinar's soul, and he has to agree to become one of the fused. So obviously there's some stakes here. But in the end, Dalinar does tell Kaladin that he's not going to be his champion. Some things you got to do yourself, right? So he's going to be a man. He's going to do it himself, even though he knows there's no chance for him in this fight unless he levels up his bondsmith powers. And that's why he asked Kaladin if he will basically help him by taking a look at Ishar as a surgeon and seeing if he can help him. Because, this fight's in like 11 days. And Kaladin's like, well, maybe in 11 years we could do this, but I don't know about 11 days. So setting up that it definitely looks like there won't be a big time jump with Book 5. We'll definitely be picking up maybe minutes later with Book 5. I don't know. We shall see. Let's move on to Shallan here. Like I said, she only had one chapter. But the aftermath of the trial, she does decide to confront Mraize. And she contacts him on the cube and says, yo, I'm out. Peace. See you later. And Mraize is like, whoa, slow down. You're not going to get into these answers you want. She's like, I don't care, bro. Cool story. I ain't got time for this anymore. And he starts, loud-mouthing, saying, look, you basically just declared open war on the Ghostbloods and Tydakar. And this is when you get like the reveal of who Tydakar is. And look, guys, I am not a Stormlight expert. I had a lot of people jump on me for this. I was like, Lord of Scars. I didn't. It was, how did you not know that? It always talked about how Kelsier had like these facial scars. Well, guys, the Cosmere is very, very big. How am I supposed to remember the only person in this universe apparently who has scars? Okay, look, I don't study this stuff. Look, I read so many series, guys. Look at this. Look at all these series back here. I read so many series. I don't obsess about it. You guys that do that, that's awesome. I'm glad that you guys do that. That means I don't have to. I spent 20 years, basically, I'd say about 15, obsessing about theories and speculation on A Song of Ice and Fire. I read so many series now, guys, I don't do that anymore. So I'm not going to remember that one short story that Brandon Sanderson wrote, one line in some email off of some napkin where he wrote a story somewhere. I don't know all these things. So yeah, I missed that this was supposed to be Kelsier. The funny thing is I don't remember what video it was in. It might have just been in the comments. Someone was talking about who I thought Tydakar was. And I was like, at this point, it wouldn't surprise me if it was Kelsier. And I said just kind of joking around. But again, really neat tie-in if that does indeed turn out to be the case. Very interested to see how this comes to be and what the actual resolution is going to be. Because last time I checked, Kelsier's not such a bad dude, right? So we shall see what happens there. But I just kind of wanted to talk about how, I'm not a Stormlight expert. Some things go past me sometimes. I miss a few of these things. So I did not know that he was referencing Kelsier when he mentioned Lord of Scars and the one person apparently that Wit had ever beaten up. I didn't know that was the only person Wit had ever beaten up. Again, guys, I thought Secret History just okay. So maybe I just needed to obsess about it a little more. So again, I'm not criticizing you if you guys knew that. That's awesome that you knew that. These are good things because I've obsessed about a great miniseries. This one, when I finish a series now, I'm on to the next one. I don't have time to, like, everybody asks me, hey, you dive in all those Wheel of Time theories yet? Nope. I started reading Faithful and the Fallen right after that. There's so much I want to read. I don't have time to obsess over what's going to happen. I just like to take it as it comes because I'm never going to be able to read everything that I want to read. But let's move on to Navani here. She does over here Moash, everybody's favorite Moash, making a deal with Raboniel. And she basically tells him, look, if you want Navani, because he does, he's there, he wants to kill Navani. And she says, if you want him, look, you got to take care of Kaladin here. You got to go in this. He agrees. And so Navani says, well, shit, I got to get out of here, right? And she's actually surprised that Raboniel is basically going to let her leave. But it's not quite that easy. She does recover that knife. She attacks Raboniel, stabs her with it. The thing that really kind of made Raboniel a nuanced villain to me is really, really deep thing that she says to her here, where she says, look, I want you to use this knowledge, use your creation that you've made here to end the war. Now, I'm not going to lie. I want the singers to win, but I'm okay with your side winning as long as it doesn't mean endless war. So, again, that's not a very mustache-twirling villain who's just evil up to the last breath. With my dying breath, I spit at you. Nothing like that. It's a very interesting villain. I was actually not surprised to see it go because I've said the one thing I have about this series is it seems like Sanderson does kill his villains really quick. He builds up a villain for a book and then they're gone. Amaram, and Sadius, and then now Raboniel. Again, I could see Raboniel just kind of being like the big bad of this one book. Like I said, I'm not nuts about the singer stuff, so I'm not sad to see one of them go. But again, it was a touching scene, I think, especially when she, is basically helping Navani out here at the very end when Moash does come for her and basically gives Navani enough time to convince the sibling to bond with her. First the sibling's like, yo, no, you're not worthy. And basically she's like, look, it's take it or leave it. It's me or you. What are we going to do here? We've got to do this. And it does agree. And when Moash arrives to end her, I'm thinking, son of a bitch. I wanted Kaladin to be the one that ends Moash. And then I started thinking about it. I was like, as a parent, no, I don't. Yo, Moash killed her kid, man. She needs to be the one that ends this son of a bitch, right? So I did think that she was going to kill him there, but probably the best one-liner in the book is the journey before destination, you bastard. And I don't know if it's just because I've always been begging for Sanderson to use some actual bad language. He used that one. He used asshole in this book. Wow, he's really growing up on us, guys. But yeah, I did really like that moment. It was very good. I won't lie, I'm not nuts about both Dalinar and now Navani being bondsmiths. It feels a little too convenient for me, but it's nothing that broke the book for me. It's just like, okay, so what's next? Is Yasna gonna kind of bond with the Night Watcher? I mean, it's just seeming like it's really, really convenient. But in the end, Moash ends up blinded for his hard work, and I'm not upset after what happens in Kaladin's chapters with Moash because, yeah, all you Moash did nothing wrong, people. You got no ground left to stand on because he does plenty wrong. Let's talk about Kaladin here. He is pretty much back to full strength here. He's ready to face the pursuer, and they battle pretty much this whole section. One thing I do like in this is that Kaladin talks some mad shit. He always seems like he's, so honorable and things like that. So when he's just like talking mad shit this whole time, like after me, they won't call you the pursuer, they'll call you the defeated. It's just like such good troll jobs on him. But again, I think that when Moash shows up to kind of level the playing field, takes out Lift, and it just kind of raises the stakes here where I'm thinking, okay, we're going to get that inevitable showdown between Kaladin and Moash is going to die this book. Well, it didn't quite happen that way. I said before that you go back to my wish list where I said, look, a big character needs to die in this book. So yes, I am the one who's like, I come from the school of Joe Abercrombie Grimdark. Characters you love have to die. And then when they die, you're like, no! So I'm not going to sit here and say that Teft was a big character, but I think he was a beloved character. I don't think there's anybody who was like, oh God, not more Teft parts to read, right? No one was like that. So Teft going was a serious gut punch. Chapter 104. Yes, a very, very difficult chapter to read. So not only that, but he also kills his Spren. So it's one of those moments where it's just like, wow, this is a watershed moment for the whole series. This could change everything. And you hate to just see, I hate to see any of my Bridge 4 guys go. It really, really sucks. The upside is that, R'lain and Dabbit have good moments in this. R'lain gets his Spren, things like that. But the big moment is like, okay, Kaladin is just like now so distraught because Teft, he's just going to fall over the edge again, right? And I'm thinking that Moash is going to come and start some shit. But he decides, nah, I'm just going to kind of let him end himself because I think Kaladin's kind of like the Mercedes Killer in Bill Hodges' trilogy by Stephen King, if you've read that, where he just kind of wants someone to commit suicide. That's like his end goal. And he just wants Kaladin to commit suicide here. But this leads to him having his vision where he sees where he couldn't protect Tien. And it finally has that big moment, guys. Was anybody right on what the fourth ideal was? I was not. I accept that there will be those I cannot protect. But these words are accepted was like, good moment. Very good moment. I mean, most of us thought that the fourth ideal was going to happen in this book. And it didn't disappoint. I enjoyed it quite a bit. So, yeah, nothing really bad to say about much of this section at all. You hate to lose a beloved character. I'm glad Moash didn't die because I want him to have, at least if Kaladin isn't going to be the one who ends them, I'd like them to have that showdown. I think that we deserve it as fans, right? We need to have, this is like Clegane Bowl with Song of Ice and Fire. We deserve to have this as readers. So I'm glad that Navani didn't actually end him. And we're going to see, for sure, without a doubt, they're at least going to, cross shards here for a minute. I definitely think we'll see that in book 5. But yeah, it kind of ending that section with Teft's funeral right here, man. Hurt. It hurt. And I think we needed that. We definitely needed that. Kaladin definitely needs a little more fuel to add to that fire. I know that taking people away from him is obviously the goal that Moash and Odium talked about. Taking away everyone that he loves is what will defeat him. But I think that this is one he's actually going to use kind of as fire, to kind of get him going for the last book and kick some ass. Let's talk about Taravangian. This is the big one. I think, look, Seth arrives to kill him, right? He's done with this shit. He's here to kill him. Walks over, stabs him. But the thing is like Odium had showed up at the same time. And Taravangian pulls Nightblood out of Zeth's scabbard, stabs Odium, and basically becomes Odium. Is he Taravodium now? That's what I'm going to call him, Taravodium. I don't know. That's probably not original. A lot of people on the Discord were calling him Tovid or something. I don't know if that's supposed to be on the virus that shall not be named. I don't know what that play on words is. I'm going with Taravodium, but this was what in the I didn't see that one coming at all. But again, anytime you're tying Nightblood into something, I'm like, okay, well, this definitely has a bigger role to play going forward. But turns out Cultivation set the whole thing up. And did I read that right? Is Cultivation a dragon? That's something, right? But the Cultivation, she, right? Cultivation does hope that he will be a better vessel than Ray's was. But it looks like as we kind of end things here, Taravangian has his own plans, and even Wit, Mr. I'm always 10 steps ahead of you, even he gets surprised a little bit. And it's kind of scary to think about someone with the cunning and smarts that smart Taravangian has that much power. So it makes that showdown with Dalinar even bigger now, because when you think about that, Dalinar had a chance to execute Taravangian, but he wanted to dunk on him and prove that he was wrong instead. Could come back to really, really haunt him. And that just kind of sets up book 5, guys. Look, I like part 5 quite a bit. Part 3 was really the only section I just didn't care for at all. And here's the thing. I think it'll be kind of like Oathbringer, where maybe time will make it better. Because I still stuck by, I just couldn't stand part 4 of Oathbringer. And when I went through and kind of reread parts of it before I did my review for it, I was like, you know what? This isn't as bad as I remember. I actually quite like a lot of the character development between Shallan and Adolin in that part. I'm wondering if this is something, I don't necessarily know that I'll ever read that section again, but I'm thinking something, maybe when we get closer to book 5, I'll revisit some of those parts and be like, you know what, it wasn't that bad. So I'm going to give it the credit that maybe you just need some time to breathe. Look, I think this book has way more positive than negatives. So when I say this, you're going to want to read, but just trust me, it has a point here. It's still my least favorite book in this series. I know there's a lot of people who are saying 6 out of 5 is the best in the series. Look, I am super hyped that people got what they were looking for with this. It was not what I was looking for. I just could not get invested in Vinley and Eshonai and Singer culture at all, and that really dragged it down for me. Look, I'm just not into the will shapers. I understand. I said I felt like this was Navani's book, and I felt like Navani's parts were good. The science was like out there sometimes, but again, it never really ruined anything for me. I understand he's wanting to do each of the Radiant Orders for each of these books, and that's why I think book 5 being on the focus on Szeth and the Skybreakers, I believe, I don't know if that's confirmed, but I believe that's what it is. That's something I think I'm going to be very much more into, because like I said, I get more and more interested in Szeth as time goes by here, and I'm really, really interested in knowing more about this whole Skybreaker thing. So guys, that's what it is. Again, I think it's awesome that many people are calling this their favorite of the series. Not for me, but what did I tell you last video? I feel like the worst Stormlight book is going to be better than most series' best book, and I stick by that. So right now, I would go Words of Radiance, Way of Kings, Oathbringer, and Rhythm of War. So that's where I'm at, guys. What did you think about this? I'll be doing my standard review, which if you've watched this, you know exactly how I feel about everything. I don't know why you'd be interested in a non-spoiler review, but I hope you'll check it out anyway. I'll be doing that sometime, probably next week. Make sure everyone's kind of done with the book by then. I think most people are already. But again, guys, so another fun trip through the Stormlight Archive. I might have had a rough patch, but look, again, when you got a book this big, you got a series this long, it's kind of like what I said about Wheel of Time. Not everything's going to jive with you. It's okay. It doesn't mean you're less of a fan, so people can stop telling me that since I only give Brandon Sanderson books B-minuses, I need to quit forcing it or something. I don't know. Guys, I've reviewed 16 Brandon Sanderson books on this channel, and I've gushed about all of them except for 2 Mistborn Era 2 books and Elantris. So I don't know really what you guys are expecting. But again, yes, I'm still a Brandon Sanderson fan. Yes, I can't wait for book 5 of Stormlight Archive. And guys, that is where we are. Drop in the comments and let me know what you thought about part 5. Let me know what you thought about the book as a whole, and I will talk to you guys there.